I searched the world, but it couldn't fill me. A man's empty praise and treasures that fade are never enough. Then you came along and put me back together, and every desire is now satisfied here in your love. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing. Nothing is better than you. I'm not afraid to show you my weakness, my failures and flaws. Lord, you've seen them all and still call me friend. 'Cause the God of the mountain is the God of the valley, and there's not a place your mercy and grace won't find me again. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing. Nothing is better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing. Nothing is better than you. You turn mourning to dancing. You give beauty for ashes. You turn shame into glory. You're the only one who can. You turn graves into gardens. You turn bones into armies. You turn seas into highways. You're the only one who can. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing. Nothing is better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing. Nothing is better than you.
These times are getting the best of me. My mind, my soul, my tired body, my whole being is off. I keep looking for something familiar, something foundational, something solid that makes me feel secure. I think of you and search for a sermon, verse, or song, anything that used to soothe my troubles, feed my soul, enliven my spirit, keep me going. I want a message from a resistant prophet. I want an invitation to leave work and come see miracles. I want to know you love and protect me. I long to feel safe. Just come up strong around me. Hold me. You know, I used to think of you differently. I was so sure, so certain I had it all figured out. But then I experienced loss and emptiness and inhumanity and insanity and realized I had to grow up. I left all that I knew to know you, the you beyond the metaphors, the eternal, true God. You are more than I expected. Nothing and no one on earth is like you. There isn't anything that measures up to your love. It never loses, and it never leaves. You are the living will. You are the enduring love. You are the speaking word. You are the stabilizing matter, the ground of all being. Reassure us in our time of need, God. Surround us and secure us in your love. There isn't anything that measures up to your love. It never loses, and it never leaves.
When I was growing up, my favorite sport by far was football. I tried to collect all of the cards of my favorite players. I had their jerseys and I tried to wear them everywhere, whenever I could. Even on the first day of being able to play football in 6th grade, we were assigned all of our equipment. And when I came home with that equipment, I slept with my football helmet. I loved the sport. Now, I've always been generally a non-violent person, and yet there was something about the organized violence of football that I loved and embraced. I never wanted to hurt anyone. That was never my intention. And yet there was something about making a hit on someone who was unexpecting, bringing them all the way to the ground that I just got all sorts of energy with. Ironically, it was that kind of attitude that ultimately led to the end of my football career. When I was a sophomore in college, I was on a punt coverage, and I was running down the field, and I saw someone about to cross my face, and this was the opportunity to make that unexpected hit. And so at that last minute, I turned my head to make the hit, and my opponent's helmet came across mine, made a direct hit on my shoulder, causing a career-ending injury. Because of my need for that hit, I would never play football again. Over the last several weeks, we have been in this series called Shift, looking at the letter to the Romans written by one of Jesus' earliest followers, the Apostle Paul. Paul is writing to the church in Rome and trying to tell them not only what they need to know, but what they need to do. And in the 12th chapter, he says, you need to make a shift. You need to shift from conforming to transforming. You need to shift from being self-centered to being connected. You need to shift from being apathetic to pathetic, or to being filled by the Spirit of feeling. And as he wraps up this section, as he wraps up this chapter, he says, rather than being in this spot of hatred of the other, you need to be unique. You need to be stand out by being people of blessing. Rejoice with those who rejoice. Weep with those who weep. Live in harmony with one another. Do not be haughty, but associate with the lowly. Do not be conceited. Do not repay anyone evil for evil. Consider what is good before all people. If possible, so far as it depends on you, live peaceably with all people. Do not avenge yourselves, dear friends, but give place to God's wrath. For it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, says the Lord. Rather, if your enemy is hungry, feed him. If he is thirsty, give him a drink. For in doing this, you will be heaping burning coals on his head. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. These are brilliant thoughts, and yet they're not wholly unique to the book of Romans nor to Paul. This idea of leaving the judgment up to God or feeding your enemies. These come from the Jewish scriptures. And throughout this passage, there are echoes of the most famous of Jesus' teaching, the Sermon on the Mount, in which he says things like, love your enemies, pray for those who persecute you, turn the other cheek, give to those who ask of you, go the extra mile. Now, it'd be easy to hear these words, to read these words, and immediately think, you suckers! You're going to continue to be taken advantage of and abused. And yet inherent within the words of Paul and within the words of Jesus is not to continue in abuse, but to force your opponents to recognize the humanity within you, and in the process to maintain your own humanity. Back when I was a purveyor of organized violence, in other words, a football player, one of the most disheartening things was when I would land one of those surprise hits, when I would drive a quarterback into the ground. And as the play ended, we would both stand up and that quarterback would come up to me, slap me on the head, and say, great hit, buddy. Nothing drove me more nuts than having to acknowledge his humanity. Judging and criticizing and lashing out at others doesn't bring us up a level, but it actually brings us down and continues that doom loop of violence. Baked within these words of Paul and of Jesus is cultural significance that makes your perceived opponents take a step back to acknowledge your own humanity and to hopefully change their actions as a result. You see, showing empathy, living peaceably, growing goodness, these are acts of defiance and of resistance to the world as it is. Now, this is not a uniquely Christian way of living, but it is a particularly Christian way of living, being filled with the grace of God to the point of overflowing. And so may we be people of blessing. May we be those who drive people nuts with how much we love. And in the process, may we affirm that our perceived opponents and we are indeed children of God.
Lord, make me an instrument of peace, an instrument of peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is darkness, let me sow light. For in the giving shall receive. And in the dying, we're given life. Lord, make me an instrument of peace, an instrument of peace. Lord, make me an instrument of peace, an instrument of peace. Where there is sorrow, let me sow hope. Where there is doubt, let me sow faith. Where there is injury, your pardon give, your consolation to those in pain. Lord, make me an instrument of peace, an instrument of peace. Lord, make me an instrument of peace, an instrument of peace. Amen. Amen.
As always, we are so happy that you joined us. As a church, the Grove seeks to grow goodness, and so we hope that every interaction that you have with us nurtures healing, wholeness, and beauty in your life. So as we go, I'm going to leave you with 3 things, the 3 most important things to know this week in 1 minute. Number 1, Facebook Campus. Imagine our Facebook campus as a location where those who are committed to the 5 p.m. service or to the Grove Planting Project more broadly can come and interact and find encouragement. As always, you can follow the link below to get connected with that group. Number 2, Grove Groups. Grove Groups are the primary thing that we are inviting people into, where you can find encouragement and care and service. There are openings in all sorts of Grove Groups. You can fill out the form and the link below, and we will get you connected to a Grove Group that fits you. And number 3, giving. God has blessed us with so much, and giving is an act of gratitude, acknowledging all of that blessing. If you are committed to the Grove Planting Project, or just love the ministry that you're seeing in and through the Grove in this community, we would love for you to consider giving something regularly. You can follow the link below to give directly to the Grove Planting Project. Now, as we go, may we drive our perceived enemies nuts with the love we have for them. May we shower the people that we interact with blessing, and in the process grow goodness.